Conor McGregor. When we mention this name, memories of dazzling glory, thunderous punches, or the image of a proud warrior stepping into the octagon with fiery eyes come flooding back. Which is hardly surprising. He was once considered the brightest star in the UFC sky. A man who could knock out opponents in the blink of an eye. The first to dominate 2 weight classes, as if destiny had been written specifically for him. And then, his bold leap into the boxing ring to challenge Floyd Mayweather turned Conor McGregor into a global center of attention. He earned hundreds of millions of dollars and solidified his position as an indispensable money-making machine for the UFC. But every light has its shadows. In recent years, Conor McGregor's name has been mentioned less for his victories and more for controversies outside the octagon. From tumultuous legal troubles to the fading image of an icon, fans are left wondering if the once invincible warrior is slipping from the throne he once reigned over. From a celebrated legend to a name viewed with suspicion by the media and doubt by the public. What really happened? How did someone who once stood at the top of the world lose his way amidst the glare of fame? Today, we will rewind the tape to revisit the journey from the heights of glory to the depths of loss. And perhaps this is not just the story of a fighter, but a reminder of the price of fame. The brighter the light, the darker the shadows behind it. So, let's begin. Conor McGregor. I was going to leave. I was going to drive out of this building. I was going to go home and pursue my dream of becoming a world champion in mixed martial arts. And that's what I did. I drove home. When I got there, my parents asked, "Why didn't you stay and work?" And I said, "I'm never going back to that construction site for another day in my life." And then everything went upside down. But You may not like Conor McGregor, and that's perfectly understandable. But if you really look back at where it all began, it's hard not to be amazed by his journey. Let's go back to the early days. An unknown from a poor working-class neighborhood in Dublin, Ireland. No money, no fame. By day, struggling with a wrench as a plumber's apprentice. By night, immersed in a cramped training room, sweating it out for a dream the world considered impossible. Becoming a UFC legend. And then that dream ignited. In his debut fight, Conor McGregor knocked out his opponent in 67 seconds without mercy. Afterward, he made bold, confident statements that both stunned and terrified everyone. It was as if fate had long been predetermined to favor him. Conor McGregor didn't just win, he exploded as a phenomenon. A fighter with an iron fist and the ability to stir up the ring with arrogant words. That burning ego made all the difference, and it was the fuel that propelled him to the top. But the brighter the light, the greater the darkness. When victories came easily, Conor McGregor began to believe he was invincible. And gradually, the ego that created a legend turned into a double-edged sword. Until one day, the very hands that made history inadvertently shattered the illusion he had built. From then on, Conor McGregor's journey entered a new chapter, a freefall. In your opinion, was his excessive ego the main reason for his decline? Leave a comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Conor McGregor. Conor, look around you. You have a lot of champions, a lot of seasoned veterans. Who do you think will give you the hardest time on this stage? This guy just beats people technically. When I knock someone out, they can't move. They're nothing. Who is that guy? To understand why Conor McGregor dares to hold his head high and challenge the world, we have to go back to April 6, 2013. The beginning of a legend. An unknown entered the UFC, and in just 67 seconds, he knocked out Marcus Brimage. It wasn't just punches or speed. It was a cold statement. Conor McGregor didn't come to test his strength. He came to dominate. Conor McGregor. Congratulations. Thanks a lot, Dana. $60,000, baby. Standing in the cage, his eyes blazing, Conor McGregor delivered what appeared to be a thank you, but was actually a warning to the world. I'm not here to win. I'm here to make the world pay me what I deserve. And he did exactly that. Not content with his early glory, Conor McGregor took a bold risk, moving up in weight class at the peak of his career. A daring and challenging decision. Experts have bowed in admiration to his skill. The media praised his unwavering, indomitable spirit. Conor McGregor said, "On September 27th, I'm going to rip Dustin Poirier's head off. It makes no difference. He's just a small-headed guy. He's been knocked out about 40 times already. His jaw is getting weaker. Every fight he's in, he's on his knees. Just a gust of wind, and he'll be jumping around like a baby chick. You get the idea?" But somewhere along that path, the image of the hero began to crack. And perhaps even Conor McGregor himself didn't realize it. When the spotlight shines too brightly, it can blind those enjoying it to the abyss right beneath their feet. Once considered an undefeated icon, Conor McGregor began to stumble, struggling to find himself again. The man who once predicted he would knock out Jose Aldo in seconds now found himself powerless against a chokehold. The man who once controlled the media with audacious words became a victim of the very legend of invincibility he had sown. Because kings rarely fall by another's sword. They fall because they believe no one dares to draw a sword against them. The confidence that once made Conor McGregor a champion began to slide into arrogance. He didn't just want to win. He wanted the world to be amazed by how he won, acting as if his opponents were simply lucky to be in the same ring. Initially, that bragging was celebrated as part of his aura. But the higher he climbed, the more his contempt became apparent. And from there, the audience's perception began to shift. The first clear sign of this rift appeared in 2014, during his first encounter with Dustin Poirier. On September 27, 2014, at UFC 178, Dustin Poirier was then a rising young fighter, full of passion, skill, and a desire to prove himself. But in Conor McGregor's eyes, he was nothing more than a mediocre opponent dragged onto a stage far too big for him. It wasn't just provocation. It was Conor McGregor's cold declaration. "I'm fighting at a different level, and you're not on the same level as me," Conor McGregor declared. "On September 27th, I'm going to rip Dustin Poirier's head off. It doesn't make any difference. It's just a small head. He's been stunned about 40 times. His chin is going down. In every fight, he's been buckling. He jumps around like a baby chick at the slightest breeze. You know what I mean?" And then the cage proved him right. In the very first round, Dustin Poirier fell. Conor McGregor calmly walked away, not celebrating wildly, but like a king, leisurely expanding his empire, considering victory an inevitable outcome. But all of this was just the prelude to the fateful night of December 12, 2015. In just 13 seconds, Conor McGregor delivered a devastating punch that ended Jose Aldo's 7-year undefeated reign. A featherweight icon considered untouchable. A fleeting moment of brilliance. A cold victory. Jose Aldo fell, and with him, an entire glorious era crumbled. He lay motionless under the spotlight, amidst the roar of the frenzied crowd. The sounds no longer belonged to him. From that moment, Conor McGregor was no longer just a challenger. He became a rule rewriter. The octagon became his stage, and he, no longer merely a fighter, was an artist performing with extreme self-confidence. His arrogance was forged into legend. Conor McGregor said, "If I feign and he reacts in some way, I will use that reaction to trap him for something else. I will create traps and dead spaces inside that octagon everywhere, and I will lead him in there like a zombie. That's what I intend to do with Jose Aldo. I intend to trap him. Was his performance against Jose Aldo the peak of his career? Share your thoughts below and subscribe to support me. Conor McGregor. Then the moment arrived when the dazzling UFC stage was shaken by someone who dared to tear up the old script. Nate Diaz appeared. No glamour, no polish, just raw, unpolished grit, and a defiant attitude fierce enough to confront the fiery arrogance of Conor McGregor. In March 2016, the UFC became the focal point of one of the most dramatic verbal confrontations in martial arts history. Sharp, unforgiving exchanges erupted. And then, for the first time, Conor McGregor, the self-proclaimed invincible fighter, tasted the bitter flavor of defeat. No, he's hiding somewhere. I don't know where he is. You still have to keep going. Go see what happens. That's right. I told you I'd punch a hole in your face. In the second round, with the atmosphere in the octagon heating up like a furnace, Nate Diaz unleashed a barrage of attacks, sending Conor McGregor reeling like a ship in a storm. Then, in a sudden moment, Nate Diaz locked in a calculated rear chokehold. Conor McGregor, who had boasted that no one could touch him, was forced to tap out. One chokehold, one knot of defeat. In just seconds, the image of the undefeated hero crumbled before the astonished eyes of millions around the world. Nate Diaz didn't just win a fight. He rewrote the story, etching the mark of a warrior who needed no script to shine. And if you thought the loss to Nate Diaz was just a crack in Conor McGregor's invincible armor, then the confrontation with Khabib Nurmagomedov was the earthquake that shattered the entire castle. On October 6, 2018, at UFC 229, Conor McGregor stepped into the octagon to face Khabib Nurmagomedov. This wasn't just a fight between two of the best fighters on the planet. It was a clash of two worlds. One defined by arrogance, ostentation, and relentless media provocation. The other by quiet self-discipline and terrifying concentration. And the result was that Conor McGregor lost not only technically, he was defeated psychologically as well. In the fourth round, Khabib Nurmagomedov executed a chokehold, forcing Conor McGregor to surrender. But what made that moment legendary wasn't the chokehold itself, but what followed. Khabib Nurmagomedov roared straight into his opponent's face. "Say it. Say something." A direct sentence was handed down to Conor McGregor, making him pay for all the arrogance, insults to his family, and betrayal he had hurled before the fight. This wasn't just a victory. It was a punishment, delivered through skill, spirit, and honor. A moment that UFC history will forever echo. After that fall, Conor McGregor never truly recovered. He began a downward spiral. From a cool, arrogant champion, he gradually transformed into the very person he once despised, a man who thrived on scandal. What do you think of Khabib Nurmagomedov's actions at that time? Leave a comment, and don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it. Conor McGregor. Recently, when the UFC hinted at Conor McGregor's potential return, the spotlight returned to him. But no one was talking about his skills anymore. The Conor McGregor of 2015 was the epitome of a modern fighter. A lean physique, lightning speed, and eyes so sharp they seemed to analyze every move of his opponent. The Conor McGregor of 2024 is a completely different character. He returns looking like a wax statue. Unusually bulging muscles, a puffy face, rapidly thinning hairline, strangely shiny skin. Signs that anyone with basic medical knowledge would recognize. The natural consequences of steroid use. Joe Rogan questioned Conor McGregor amidst speculation about stimulants. His urine could melt a test cup. A joke, but it cut straight to the truth. Conor McGregor today no longer represents the spirit of a fighter, but rather an addiction to an image inflated by chemicals and delusions. It sounds like a joke, but it's a sharp knife cutting through the glamorous facade of the UFC. A painful slap in the face to an organization that once loudly swore to fair sportsmanship, now seemingly willing to turn a blind eye as long as that name continues to sell out in the arenas. And ironically, Joe Rogan wasn't joking. USADA, the UFC's anti-doping agency, has confirmed a shocking fact. Throughout 2022, Conor McGregor did not undergo a single doping test. Not once. This revelation has fueled the controversy. The public began to believe that Conor McGregor used his time off to use performance-enhancing substances for recovery, a suspicion he almost confirmed on social media, citing injury treatment as the reason. Instead of quelling the doubts, this explanation only fueled public outrage. Now, Conor McGregor stands at a crucial crossroads. One path leads back to the UFC, where he faces the strict scrutiny of USADA and relentless doping tests. The other leads to the glamorous world of exhibition fights, like those against Logan Paul or Manny Pacquiao, where rules are lax, banned substances are unchecked, and hundreds of millions of dollars beckon. Which choice will shape the next chapter of this legend's life? Only time will tell. While steroids can be excused as a cure, the other substances Conor McGregor is suspected of using have sounded the alarm about both his physical and mental health. These suspicions aren't confined to the octagon. They've ignited a real-life scandal, further eroding Conor McGregor's image in the eyes of his fans. In 2023, a scandal erupted when Conor McGregor was accused of inappropriate behavior towards a woman at a lavish birthday party on a yacht. While there was no official conclusion from authorities, reports indicated the woman fled in panic. This incident was just one piece of an ongoing series of controversies, leaving many wondering whether the UFC still wanted to stick with a name that was once an icon, but now posed too much risk. The highly anticipated fight against Michael Chandler in 2024 has been repeatedly delayed without clear explanation. Some believe the UFC is deliberately holding back Conor McGregor's contract, not to bring him back to the octagon, but to prevent him from seeking opportunities in other arenas. If true, this strategy demonstrates the UFC's caution regarding a dangerously burgeoning star. Now, the real question isn't when Conor McGregor will return, but here's the question. Do we, the fans who were once thrilled by his fiery pride, still want to see that comeback? Or has the glory of the infamous figure truly faded, leaving only controversy and regret? Whether you love or hate Conor McGregor, one truth is undeniable. He dared to walk a path no one else dared to walk, leaving an indelible mark on UFC history. Conor McGregor is not just a fighter. He is a phenomenon, a living legend who reshaped MMA with his rare talent, charisma, and audacity. Beyond dominating the octagon, Conor McGregor transformed every fight into a dramatic spectacle. He captivated audiences with sharp wit, explosive press conferences, and a compelling presence on media platforms. He transformed MMA from a niche sport into a vibrant center of popular culture, attracting millions of viewers worldwide. That success wasn't due to luck. It was the culmination of a decade driven by an unyielding hunger for victory, an iron will, and an obsession with breaking boundaries. Whatever awaits Conor McGregor in the future, his name has been etched into the hall of UFC legend. A legacy.